obviously disappointing loss. Just the glaring thing that sticks out to me right now is just we continue to create. We continue to give possessions back to the offense with turnovers, and second week in a row, really going back to Fordham where we only created one. We've only created one turnover, so we're not going to win a lot of games in that span. I think we're -7. Going back to Brown, we were -5, and today we were -2. Just not going to beat a lot of people. Not creating turnovers like that. And right now we're not playing well, and that's a reflection of the staff. It's a reflection of the players, and we all have to own it because that's what we are right now. We're a 1-14.
How do you create turnovers defensively, Coach?
Well, you get to the ball. I think we're hustling, and some of it's physicality, some of it's just in zone coverage. A lot of times in zones, your vision's on the quarterback and trying to get thrown lanes, and we've had 2 chances last week. Okie had the one on our sideline, on our hash, where he drops we bat the ball back down the line of scrimmage, and he misses that. It probably goes 6. And it looked like Stanley had a chance to make that one in the end zone, when we pressured. So, everyone emphasizes it. Sometimes you luck into them. Sometimes, we just got to be more opportunistic creating them.
Coach, can you talk about how the 2-minute drill at the end of the first half sort of sparked their offensive play?
Yeah, I mean, it was, they're very explosive. They're up tempo. They're sprint to the ball. It was probably the most up tempo offense we've seen in 3 years. Just going into the game, and they had so many big plays against UMass, and 3 of the 4 games that we broke down, and we just kind of wanted to bleed a slow death, and part of it looks like we played a little tentative with our calls in terms of not calling pressure and stuff like that. That's on me, but you just got to change up the look so you're not getting the same look every time, offensively, and it did. It ended up going in 14-14 at the half, and really I think we had played pretty well up until that point.
After Steve injured his ankle, you guys had 2 straight 3-and-outs. Did you see anything different from it, or was it just a complete everyone wasn't doing their job?
I don't know. Looking back on it, I mean, I'll have to watch the film on that. I didn't realize that, but we'll have to see that, and I'm not aware of when that happened or what happened there.
What did Steve actually do to his ankle?
I said it was a sprain. Yeah.
Turned it running away from
well, there was I think he got hit on their sideline. Obviously, it was no call, so I didn't see the hit really. I know he was slow getting up, and that was the reason for that.
In the second half, Brown misses the field goal, then you pull out the triple reverse, and it goes right through Travis's hands.
Yeah.
Then Steve gets sacked twice, and then you go down and score the winning touchdown. How different would it have been? Travis catches the ball, drops.
It's the nature of football. I mean, Travis has had he's doing a great job. I'm not gonna, he's a sophomore, a true sophomore. He just does a great job. Obviously, if you ask him, he'd like to get that play back. But you look at the game. I mean, it's every Saturday there. There's 5 to 10 plays that we didn't make or we made, or that you go back and forth with. I mean, that didn't lose us the game. Obviously, it was what could have been a big play, but we didn't lose the game to Old Dominion because Travis missed the reverse pass.
How much harder is this for you to swallow, Coach, knowing the expectations coming in this year? You guys come off a pretty good turnaround year last year.
Sure.
And just things haven't gone according to
Yeah, I mean, it's it's losing is hard every week. I mean, I'm not gonna hey, we gotta. This is no time to to feel sorry for ourselves. I mean, we just gotta win a football game. The thing we're not doing, and we really haven't been able to do really all year, is nobody's feeding off of one another. We're not. It's not like we're not getting into shootouts where the offense is picking the defense up, or we're not getting into games where the offense, a little bit, against Fordham, where we were struggling offensively and the defense stepped it up. But it's not. We're not. Our special teams game. We're not making a ton of big plays there. There's no excuses for that, but I know with Travis and DeAndre having a bigger load with Io on the shelf, that doesn't help it, because now you've kind of, there's only certain Travis and DeAndre, they got to tap out at some point in terms of the number of reps that they're getting. So, but it's every loss is hard.
What did you see on Steve's last pass? You guys are driving the ball, you're around their 30. It seemed like he threw into underneath coverage that they were.
Yeah, well, he was getting a little pressure from the backside, you know, and when you get pressure, you kind of, you know, the one thing you ask him to do is, you know, he's got to have an internal clock working, you know, as a quarterback, and you know, I don't know. I mean, had he not gotten the ball out, he probably would have been sacked, you know, because they brought zone pressure from the boundary. So, you know, I mean, it looked like it was just a, you know, it was a slide crawl right, you know, to the field, and it looked like he just overthrew the guy.
Who was he trying to hit?
Farrell, Johnson Farrell.
You get the ball back with about 2 minutes left, but no timeouts.
Yep.
Because you used the 3 on defense in the second
Yep.
half. Can you tell me what you saw on those occasions? When you...
I saw a lot of fatigue.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're you know, with Ali missing the year with the ACL, you know, Devin Dayston played it. There's no excuses for that stuff, but when you're, you know, we thought we were going to be deeper than we were. You know, Kenny Smith's got a knee injury, so yeah, you're a little thinner on defense, and you know, I certainly didn't want to. You know, we're not going to fake injuries, you know, like the NFL, but you know, I certainly didn't want to get in a situation where fatigue was, you know, taken away from the technique, and with that up tempo, you know, offense that we were getting. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're either in a bad call in a game like that, you know, maybe turned into a shootout, but it was kind of a, you know, tight, you know, 3.5 score game for a long time. I just didn't want to get in a situation where we were giving plays up because of fatigue. And you know, normally you roll guys through, but if that's not an option, then you gotta take timeouts.
I just wanted to see if it was an attrition issue or if it was a look that you saw that you were trying to get.
No, I think the last one we were in an empty. You know, they came out in empty. They had run some quarterback draw. You know, we had a check in with the empty that we tagged, and then I think they were going to come back to a quarterback draw. You know, so I wanted to make sure that we, you know, that last one was definitely something that, you know, we didn't feel good about that look. It was a fourth. I think it was 4th and 2. You know, and I just wanted to make sure at that point, because you know, that could have been critical in the game, that we were in the optimum call there.